Sky Watchers, and welcome to the sky above us. I'm James Albury, and I'm your tour guide to the night sky. Boy, do we have an episode for you. Lunar eclipse fanatics rejoice because our 2-year dry spell of total lunar eclipses is about to come to an end. And if that isn't exciting enough, we not only have our usual cosmic dance between the moon and the planets, but we have yet another super close pairing of 2 of those planets near the end of this month. What am I talking about? Let me show you. At the beginning of May, the moon plays leapfrog with the 2 largest planets in our solar system, 88,000-mile-wide Jupiter and the beautiful ringed planet Saturn. We're catching up with Saturn in our orbit in just a few weeks, and it will appear to go into what astronomers and astrologers call retrograde. Retrograde is the backwards motion a planet appears to make with respect to the background stars. Most of the time, when you watch a planet move each night, it appears to drift from west to east against the background stars as the weeks pass. This apparent backwards motion is caused by the differing speeds between Earth and the other planets in the solar system. Much like when you're driving in a fast-moving car, as we pass a slower-moving planet, that planet appears to be moving backwards with respect to the background. Saturn begins its retrograde on Sunday, May 23rd. Jupiter begins its retrograde almost a month later on June 20th. So let's check out where they are in the sky right now. Okay, we have our sky set up for an hour before sunrise on May 3rd, facing east-southeast. Among the stars of Capricornus the Sea Goat and Aquarius the Water Bearer, we see the planets Jupiter and Saturn. To their right is the last quarter moon. Over the next few mornings, we'll see the moon zip past both planets. May the 4th be with you on the next day when the moon appears between both Saturn and Jupiter on May 4th. Then you can wish your friends Happy Cinco de Mayo when the moon shimmies past Jupiter and into Aquarius on the morning of May the 5th. Then finally, on May 6th, the waning crescent moon positions itself almost the same distance on the left of Jupiter as Saturn is to the right of Jupiter. If you're into wide-angle astrophotography, the lineup of a slender crescent moon with both Jupiter and Saturn is sure to be a treat for the eyes. Let's now shift our attention to the early evening sky because we have one of our most popular planets returning to the sky this month. That planet is none other than the ever-popular and lovely Venus. Venus was a constant beacon in the morning sky for most of 2020. It spent the last 3 months hidden in the glare of the sun as it passed behind the sun with respect to Earth. Venus is sometimes referred to as our sister planet because of its similar size to the Earth. At just over 7,600 miles in diameter, Venus was at one time thought to be the most likely place in our solar system to find extraterrestrial life. Unfortunately, those hopes were dashed when we discovered that the conditions on Venus are so extreme that life as we know it would not be able to survive. Venus's surface temperature is over 850 degrees Fahrenheit. This is caused by Venus's extremely dense atmosphere. Composed almost entirely of carbon dioxide, Venus's atmosphere traps heat so well that none of the heat can escape. And if that weren't bad enough, the atmospheric pressure is over 90 times what we experience on Earth. So, instead of the gentle 15 pounds per square inch that we experience on the surface of the Earth, a visitor to the surface of Venus would be crushed beyond recognition under a whopping 1,300 pounds per square inch. And let's not forget Venus's ubiquitous cloud cover. Those clouds that block the surface from our view are not made of water droplets like our clouds. The clouds of Venus are made of droplets of sulfuric acid. Yay! Okay, we have our sky set to 15 minutes after sunset on May 12th facing west-northwest. By approximately 8:30 p.m., you'll be able to see an extremely slender one-day-old waxing crescent moon, less than 2 full moon widths away from Venus. Both objects will be in Taurus the Bull, but unfortunately they will be extremely close to the horizon, so not only will you need a clear view of the horizon, but the glare of the sun may prevent you from seeing them until they're just about to set. So timing will be critical. The next night, May 13th, a 2-day-old waxing crescent moon will appear 4 full moon widths away from Mercury, the smallest planet in our solar system. Pay close attention to the location of Venus and Mercury over the next 10 days, because as we get near the end of the month, both planets will change position significantly. Mercury will be at its highest point in the sky on May 17th, and then it begins its retrograde progression in the sky as it prepares to pass us in its orbit. Venus continues to advance upward, and by the end of the month, Mercury and Venus will attempt a repeat of Jupiter and Saturn's great conjunction back in December of last year. Here's what that will look like. Okay, we now have our sky set to the evening of May 29th, 15 minutes after sunset, facing west-northwest. Remember, Mercury and Venus will be close to the horizon, so you'll need a clear view of the horizon to see them. On this night, these two planets will appear only 25 arc minutes apart. That's less than the angular width of the moon. If you extend your arm as far as it will stretch, the end of your pinky finger is 30 arc minutes in width against the background sky. So, with this pairing of Mercury and Venus, you'll be able to cover them both with the end of your pinky finger. Speaking of the moon, we have a special lunar event happening a few days earlier on the morning of May 26th. Let me show you. Every full moon has a nickname, and the full moon of May is no different. Due to the abundance of floral blooms in the month of May, its full moon is called the flower moon. This flower moon occurs on the night of May 25th, and it's special for two reasons. One, the moon will be at perigee that night. Perigee is the point in an object's orbit where it's at its closest approach to Earth. Since the moon's orbit is not a perfect circle, it reaches perigee every month. This perigee is special because when it happens within 24 hours of the moon being full, we like to call it a supermoon. The difference between a supermoon and its apogee counterpart, the wimpy moon, is minor, but noticeable. The difference in distance from us can vary by almost 30,000 miles. So when the moon is closer to us, it can look almost 7% larger and up to 15% brighter than when it's at its furthest from us. The second reason this full moon is special is because in the pre-dawn hours of May 26th, we will experience a total lunar eclipse. Here's how lunar eclipses work. Both Earth and the moon cast two shadows, a lighter outer shadow called the penumbra and a darker inner shadow called the umbra. If the moon only passes through the penumbra, we will see a penumbral lunar eclipse. The last 4 lunar eclipses we had were penumbral, and as a result, were just barely noticeable. When the moon passes through only a portion of the darker part of the shadow, the umbra, we call it a partial lunar eclipse. We will have a partial lunar eclipse 6 months from now on November 19th, 2021. When the moon passes completely into the darker part of Earth's shadow, we have a total lunar eclipse. These are my favorite because the moon turns various shades of red during totality, and it stays that way for almost an hour. It's been over 2 years since Earth has had a total lunar eclipse, and depending on where you live, you'll get to see different parts of this eclipse. Sadly, the timing of this eclipse doesn't favor those of us who live further east because the moon will set and we won't get to see the whole thing. For example, if you live on the east coast of North America or the central part of South America, you'll only get to see the beginning of this eclipse. If you live in the middle of North America or the southern tip of South America, you'll get to see the eclipse up to the midpoint of totality. However, if you live in Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Hawaii, or on the extreme west coast of North America, you'll get to see the entire eclipse from beginning to end. The rest of the world is on the daytime side for this eclipse and won't get to see it at all. The good news is that in May of 2022, we'll have another total lunar eclipse, and it happens earlier in the evening, so we'll get to see that one all the way through. So, there you have it. Some planetary pairings and a red flower supermoon to complete your sky-watching desires. Before you go, check out our website, theskyabovus.org. From there, you can watch previous episodes, listen to the Sky Above Us podcast, purchase the Sky Above Us merchandise, and you can even ask me an astronomical question that I'll answer in a future episode. And if you'd like to support our program, click on the Patreon link in the description, and you could qualify for autographed The Sky Above Us memorabilia, and you could see your name in the credits of our next episode. April showers really did bring May flowers, all because you remembered to keep looking up.